you doing, supporters of In the Sand podcast? Again, it's Coach Sanders. I'm excited to be back. Excited to just continue to talk basketball and just produce great content. I got another great coach on as well. My guy, Coach Shields from East Central Community College, of course, on the basketball side. Excited to have Coach on. Just excited about his story, excited about the person, who he is and everything that he displays as a basketball coach. Just knowing Coach Shields, know he's consistent through in and throughout. And so just appreciative of guys like Coach Shields who are trying to lead our young men to be super, super successful. So Coach Shields, man, welcome to the podcast, brother.
Thanks for having me. I'm fired up to be here.
Yes, sir, man. Again, it's just good to talk basketball. I've had an opportunity to get to know you these past 2 years, but even before then, I got to know you. This is probably, I think I was at Germantown. Maybe I was in Germantown from 2012 to 2016. And when we was at Germantown, we came down to the team camp. And at that time, if I'm not mistaken, you was assistant coach at that time. So we had some great connects with that. And so it's good to see you on this side. So, Coach, I'm going to jump in. I know our supporters are excited to be able to just kind of hear your story. And I always open up this way because it's so important. Like the sharing a story of your journey is important because everybody's journey is different. And that's what makes this part of the segment so exciting. And that's kind of why I always start here, because it's an attention grabber, because everybody wants to know, where people have come from and like where are they now and present and where they're going. So, Coach, if you could just take us back to when you were younger, or even back to your high school days, middle school days, even when you was a little kid. It just depends on where you want to start, on where you started to how you got to where you are right now.
Yeah, well, sports, like a lot of us, has always been a part of my life. I played everything, if it had a ball or a glove or a hoop or whatever. Played sports my whole life. I would say probably when I was in about the 8th, 9th, 10th grade, high school biology class started getting boring, and you get your notebook and you draw up some plays, Coach, because the teacher thinks you're taking notes. So it looked like I was taking notes, but really I was working on my X's and O's. I think I started becoming drawn to coaching around that time. Coaching is a little bit in my family, not a lot, but I do have a grandfather who was a longtime high school football coach in Louisiana. So it's in me a little bit. My senior year of high school, when I would say I got serious, I went to a small 2A high school in Arkansas, Coach. Our high school basketball coach, 7th grade through 12th grade, no assistant. No assistant coach. He was by himself. So my senior year of high school, I went to him and I said, "Hey, I'm thinking about coaching. Would you mind letting me sit on the bench with you during the junior high games and be your assistant?" And he allowed me to do that. And so my best memories were probably just listening to the different ways he talked to officials, but still, that's where my interest was piqued. And so I go to school at the University of Arkansas after graduating high school. And I got very, very fortunate, and I got on with the men's basketball program up there, and I became a student manager. And so I was a manager at the University of Arkansas for 4 years. And to be honest with you, Coach, when I got on there, I wanted to go to high school. And this is my reason, don't laugh at me. My reasoning was because in my mind, if you could play college basketball, you didn't really need to be taught anything. You were really good and you didn't need to know anything. Well, it wasn't until I was at Arkansas that I realized these guys may be taller. These guys may be more athletic. These guys may have a little bit better skill, but they got a lot to learn. And so I fell in love with the college game. And to be honest with you too, there's a faith component, Coach, of why I coach college basketball. Because I learned when I got in college, you've heard the term lukewarm before. There is no more lukewarm in college. You don't go home to mom and dad at night. And so what I learned was guys in college start to go hard right or hard left. And so I personally love the age that I'm with because they're mine 24/7. They don't go home to mom and dad at night. They stay in my dorm room. My food per se. They're with me all the time. And so this is just a big, it's just an area that I love. 18 to 22 years old. They're around me, my family, my kids, my wife. And my manager spot at Arkansas led to being a GA at North Texas, which led to getting that assistant job you were talking about here at East Central. And one thing led to the next, and we'll see where it continues to take me. But it's been good so far.
Coach, that's an amazing story, man, and I think that's so cool, and I'm glad you shared that. When I was at a small school, of course, and most people know it, some people don't, especially if you've never been in a small school environment. Small schools run differently, and a lot of times coaches have a big task, or they have a lot of students, or they're coaching multiple sports. And of course, before I got to Richland, I was at Pisgah, and we had 7th through 12th grade. We had 7th through 12th grade boys and girls. So most of our nights were 4-day weeks. And I know most coaches can kind of, are relevant to that. But I had my brother, Justin, and he was coaching with me. So that made it so much easier with him having the middle school side, being in charge of that. And I had the high school side, and then we assisted each other. So really, we were both middle school coaches and high school coaches for girls and boys. But for you to have the initiative to say, hey, coach, may I sit on the sideline with you? And that had to be so powerful, probably for your coach. He probably didn't tell you right then, but that had to be amazing to have someone, of a young kid, at that time, to take the initiative to say, hey, let me do this. I'm guessing that you saw something at your coach that you admired and wanted to be like. And that's pretty cool. And I think something is just always ingrained in children at a young age. I had a great manager at Pisgah High School. He was an A grade coach. And, at that time, all kids want to be manager. They just want to go to the games. And at that time, I was like, man, I think I'm good. Appreciate you. Because I just felt that he didn't really want to do it. So coach, he takes the initiative. He asked me every day. So one time we in junior high practice, he stays. He don't go out he was in junior high PE during that block. So he stayed in. He got a broom, coach, and he cleaned the bleachers from the top to the bottom. And so we practicing with the junior high kids, and I look up in the bleachers, this young kid, and he's a 7th grade at the time, man. He's sweeping. He's out in a full-blown sweat. So I'm looking around. I said, man, this got to be a prank. There's no way a kid is doing this at this age. And coach, he started washing clothes that day, and he was doing all this in the 7th grade. And I was like, I can't comprehend that, because at that age, I wouldn't even thought about that. And so I had him on the staff, and before I knew it, he was running drills. The kids were listening to him. He started to dress like my brother now on the side. It just became natural. So, I know Gage is going to do something good, and that's good that you did that, coach. Coach, I like University of Arkansas. Who was the head coach at University of Arkansas when you were there?
So when I got on my freshman year, the head coach was John Pelfrey.
Okay.
And then that was his last year at Arkansas. And then my sophomore through senior year at Arkansas, Mike Anderson was there. So I got to be a part of that transition, which was interesting because I got to see two different ways of doing things. And then I think Coach Anderson went on to be the coach at Arkansas for the next, 8-9 years before he moved on to St. John's. So, yeah.
Coach, I would like for you to share that too, because I know I talked about this, of course, with a few of my guests on my podcast. But Coach, talk about the importance of people, or young people, men or women, who are interested in being coaches, jumping in and being that student manager. Because again, I say this all the time, and I repeat it on the podcast a lot of times, because I know somebody may not watch the previous podcast. That's something that I wish I would have known from an earlier age. So, coach, talk to us about the importance of being that student manager, which propels you or pushes you forward to where you are, especially in the college world, because as I'm understanding, it's a lot about connections. I really thought that if I just, coach long enough, do good in high school, just magically this college job is going to rain out the sky. But there's a lot of things that you got to do earlier before that even happens. So, coach, can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, I wish I would have known. If I could go back and do it, I would have done the same path. I just would have had a different set of lenses on when I was doing it because I just didn't realize the value of it.
Yeah.
A lot of coaches in the college game, you'll hear talk about when they hire coaches, they look to hire former managers.
Mhm.
Why is that? Well, because there's no ego with those guys. They'll do whatever you ask them to do. If the gym floor needs to be swept, if the Gatorade tumples over and somebody needs to clean it up, there's no ego.
Yeah.
And so a lot of guys look for that. But like, the head coach at Maryland, Buzz Williams, former manager at the JuCo level.
Mhm.
And there's a long list, coach. You can Google it. There's a list of 20, 30, 40 Division I head coaches right now that started out as a manager. And so I think it's a great way in because it's a great way to build connections. But where I think a lot of guys miss it, coach, is they go in with the wrong heart, and you got to just go in and want to serve and want to do whatever anybody asks you to do. And it's not going to be glorious.
Yeah.
and it's not going to be fun all the time. And but coach, like for me, it took me places I would have never been otherwise.
Mm-hmm.
So, and me and my assistant Jordan, we argue about this a little bit. He's like, "Yeah, it was easy for you to stay up there doing laundry because Bud Walton Arena seats 20,000 people. You know, that's kind of a nice place." So we go back and forth on this, and I get that, but like, coach, if you're willing to do the laundry late at night, set up practice, tear down practice, sweep, clean, run errands for the coaches, if you're willing to do all that, coach, I also got to get on a plane and fly to Hawaii and go to the Maui Invitational.
Yeah.
Coach, I'd have never been to Hawaii if it wasn't for being a manager at Arkansas. And so just the different experiences I got in the different gyms I've been in and the different places I've seen, it's just so much value comes in it. And, you know, where I talk about me and Jordan joking, you know, I get mad sometimes, coach, that our managers don't have that same willingness to do whatever. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so sometimes he's like, "Yeah, Dylan, but it's cool to do it at Mississippi State. It ain't cool to do it at East Central." But here's where I think here's what I think they're missing, though, coach.
Yeah.
If you'll do it really well at East Central, I can get you on at State.
Yep.
I can get you on at Southern Miss.
Mm-hmm.
I can get you on at Ole Miss. And let's take it a step further. If you're really, really, really good at Richland High School, he may know the coach at East Central. And the coach at East Central may know the coach at Southern Miss and the coach, you see what I'm saying?
Yep.
And so nobody wants to be the nobody, but if you'll be the nobody really, really well, it can propel you moving forward. You know what I mean?
Yep. Yeah. I think that's perfect though, man, because you're right. Because I can imagine maybe me being at 18, 19, being a former high school player, and now you ask me to do that. At that present moment, I don't know if I would have done it because I think what you said, the ego part of it. But you're absolutely right. You need people like that. I didn't mean to cut you off, but go ahead. I'm sorry about that.
No, you're good, but that's right. And then you're gonna make me sit up on this one. But this is a big deal to me though. What you want has got to be more important than just some things you don't like. So this is what I mean. And I don't know if that's if I quoted that right, but like, coach, I wanted to be a college basketball coach so bad. It was no task you could give me, or there was no job that was too dirty that I wouldn't do. Does that make sense? And so we had a lot of, don't get me wrong, coach, we had a lot of guys come through the program at Arkansas that was a manager for a year or two and quit. But I would just say this: your desire to be a college basketball coach was not greater than your desire not to sweep the floor.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so, yeah, it was some nights I didn't like it. It was some nights that I didn't enjoy staying up there at 2:00 doing laundry while everybody else is hanging out. But I wanted to be a college basketball coach more than I cared about not liking something. Does that make sense?
Makes a lot of sense, coach.
And I see the same reflection with players too. Like, oh, I want to be good. I want to be Division I. I want to be this. But you don't want it more than you want to hang out because you're never in the gym.
Yep.
And so your desire for what you say you want has got to be greater than whatever obstacles you got to go through to get to where you're trying to go. And that's where I see a lot of college kids, players and managers, coach, both alike. That's where I guess the rubber meets the road and derail some people.
Coach, you right on. I'm right. I'm writing it down, and I definitely understand what you're saying because I was watching a documentary and Kobe said the same thing. And I've heard a lot of coaches say that, like, if you really want something, like while everybody is out hanging out, doing this, doing that, like a quote that you said, your desire for what you want got to be higher. And so you got to do those particular things. And I was just about to say that. I would say if any kid is or any young man is looking to play at East Central, he's already told you something that he's looking for from the beginning. Like, you have to be a hard worker. Like, you have to love what you're doing, and you got to love it more than just being cool with it. Like, they just show you one thing about it. So I can already say, if you're not trying to do that, then East Central is not gonna be the space for you, because when you got two coaches who have literally, as the kids say, got it out the mud and really started in a servant role and working constantly up, and you come there and you don't have that mindset. And I think that's what most places, but we know that for sure with coach, like your mindset has to be higher, like, because you got to show me that you want it. And coach, a lot of kids, and I think coaches is too, and adults, everybody said, I want to be a dog, or I want to grind. It all sounds good until you have to be up at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning,
Right.
when you sweeping, doing laundry, you getting overlooked. Like, then now you got to ask yourself, man, do I really want to grind? Do I really want to be that
Right.
person? So coach, I think that's powerful. And I'm hoping that people catch that and hear that, because that is true. And you have to work for what you want. And thank God you're in a college role. And now you can look back at them 2 o'clock moments. You can look back at them 3 o'clock and say, man, hey, I'm glad I did that, because it makes a difference. And we try to get our young men to see the things that we're trying to teach you. It's going to help you in life. Like, it may be hard for you to understand that right now in this present moment, but you're not always going to be 17, 18, 19, 20. With my kids, you're not going to be 14, 15. Like, we're trying to take you somewhere if you're willing to listen and have their heart.
Yep.
So, coach, I like that, coach. And it really just speaks to this, man. And I'm going to share a video, coach, and I hope it don't embarrass you too much. I really don't care for real, because I know it's not going to embarrass you, but it's going to lead into my segment, but also allow people to kind of see you as well. So I'm going to share my screen from a previous podcast that I did. And then I want people to see this, because when I was preparing for this, I went back and I watched this, and I always try to be highly prepared. And so I want y'all to watch this. It's about 2 minutes, but I want y'all to watch and listen to it, and then we'll kind of pick back up from it. But coach, talk to us about the dynamic talent that Coach Shields had, and why were you excited? I know you mentioned it earlier, but just want to give him some spotlight as well, because he's doing a great job at East Central on what made you feel like East Central was a great fit and a place for you to grow and continue to challenge yourself.
Dude, he's a really good person. Not many people, as far as like coaches, coaching it's a business, and I understand it, but there's not a better person that's in coaching than Dylan Shields. When he was talking to me about being his assistant, he constantly called me. He took me out to dinner, took me out to eat multiple times, and just took care of me. And none of that has changed. A lot of people do that on the front end, and they're kind of taking care of you just to say, oh, I want him to help me. I want him to help me. He does that literally because that's who he is. It doesn't matter. Like, he does the same thing with our guys. He takes care of our guys. There's not a better person to me than Dylan Shields. And he was super honest with me from the beginning and has been super honest with me throughout. Works really hard, comes in and grinds every morning, stays late every night. Always talks basketball, always wants to talk basketball and get better at every facet of the game, as far as like baseline out of bounds offense, half court defense, full court defense. It's nothing that Dylan Shields doesn't want to get better at and doesn't want to continue to grow at. And the other thing, I think we have some of the same aspirations. Like, both of us want to coach Division I basketball one day. Both of us were managers, so there's not a job that's too big for either of us. He's a really, 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 really good baseline out of bounds offense guy. So if you really want to see some good baseline out of bounds offense, Dylan Shields is the guy to call. He also has a really good press offense that he's told me all the time, like, hey, man, wherever you go, wherever you coach, take my press offense with you. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to take it. But dude, there's not a better person. Like I said, his player relationships and his humbleness is something that I had to learn, and I'm still learning. But he does a really good job of connecting with guys and getting guys to believe in things that they don't really believe in themselves, in a kind of a calmer manner. He's never going to really raise his voice at you. He's always going to be like, hey, man, I need you to do this. And coach, why do I need to do this? Okay, well, this is why. And guys believe in it, and guys love it. And he wants to win basketball games. That's what I want to do. And we want to win basketball games the right way, with good kids and with good people.
So, coach, I thought, man, when I was doing my research, man, I thought that was good. And I thought, when I was trying to put this together, I said, sometimes you have to, and I'm trying to do this more in this season of my podcast, you have to put some things so people can see it. They're like, oh, coach, you just saying those things. And that interview happened almost 2 years ago. And so this wasn't pre-planned. So it was just something about, speaks to who coach is. So, coach, I want you to talk about being at East Central, and then I want you to talk about, of course, Coach Winnington and anybody else on your staff and your managers as we begin to transition more into this podcast. But I just thought that was a good opening segment about just who you are, and as we transition into East Central basketball.
I tell people all the time I have the best assistant coach in America, and I believe that. There is no staff. It's me and Jordan. So I don't have a staff to talk about. Now, we do have student managers here that we appreciate and that work hard for us. But it's just me and coach. And he's really, really good. He's more than deserving. He can be a Division I assistant right now. He could be a junior college head coach right now. He's ready for that next step, you know. And so I'm excited to see what the next step is for him because he's definitely ready for it. You mentioned East Central basketball, correct? So we finished 3 years here together. When I got the job, I got to hire him. We're getting ready to go into year 4. The 2 years before we got here, Coach, East Central won 5 and 4 basketball games. So the program was not in a good spot. I think they were 5 and 19 and 4 and 17 or something along those lines. But this past year, we just had the best year we've had since we've been here. So the 3 years we've been here, we've won 13, 15, and 17. This year we went 17 and 13. Went 7 and 7 in the league, won a playoff game down at Southwest for the first time. And Coach, I think it's been, I don't know, quite a few years since East Central men's basketball has won a playoff game. And so to have that winning record, we've had 2 winning records since we've been here, but to have that 17 and 13 winning record and win a playoff game, you know, and try to have this thing moving in the right direction and kind of get East Central out of the bottom. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think in the recruiting part of things, when we got here, we were selling a vision and we were telling people what was going to happen. Well, now we've got a little proof, you know, of what has happened. And so now, Coach, we're just trying to take that next step of going from the middle of the pack to, you know, the top of the league. So that's where we're at with that. I don't remember what else it was that you mentioned, but that's kind of what we've done since we've been here at East Central. And like I said, we're going into year 4. So.
Yeah, you answered it right on point. Just tying into that question, Coach, and that was my next question: is the league, like, I don't know if people understand how tough our JuCo leagues here in the state of Mississippi.
Yeah.
It is one of, and maybe people are gonna say I'm biased, but to me, I feel like it's one of the best leagues around. Anytime I talk about a league being tough, I always compare it to SEC West or just the SEC in general. And I'm gonna let you speak to it more, but just from the outside looking in, because I didn't really started going to junior college games in Mississippi probably I think I started maybe 10 years ago. My first game is when Daryl Macon was at Holmes.
Yep.
And
played in Arkansas.
Yes, man, that was when I got to the gym. I'm watching it was a cool environment. It felt a little bit like high school, just on how everything was kind of set up. But of course, it's a whole different level. And so when this kid comes on the floor, this young man comes on the floor, man, I'm like, really? We got talent like this? And so I'm doing my homework and my research. And then, man, I was sold into JuCo basketball in the state of Mississippi and just all over the world. And also, too, in Mississippi, we are held to certain restrictions, and I'll let you talk to that more. But we're a lot of times in Mississippi, our guys are playing with Mississippi guys and held to a standard and still playing. But when you look at that schedule, you can just look at the schedule and pick somebody. Like each night, it's a challenge. You got great coaches in JuCo, you got great athletes, great players, and it's a consistent battle. Of course, you got to deal with travel and things of that nature. But Coach, just talk about the lead in general, because I don't know if it gets enough shine here in Mississippi. I know not across the country, but talk about our league, because it's an amazing, challenging league.
It is. The league is very, very tough.
Yep.
It is JuCo to its core. You cannot be soft and come in here and have any success.
Yep.
But I'll tell you this, Coach, it's changing a lot.
Okay.
Like right before our eyes, live while we're doing this podcast, the league is changing a lot. And what I mean by that is the transfer portal.
Yeah.
So junior college coaches used to make their living off of Division I bounce backs. So a kid goes to Southern Miss, it don't work out. If he transfers, he's got to sit out. He don't want to sit out, so he transfers JuCo. Okay, so and like if you notice, I want you to go look at something when we get off this podcast. Look at East Mississippi football the last 2 years. Coach, they're not running the game anymore like they used to. No, I'm serious. I have nothing against Buddy Stevens. I'm not trying to make him mad, but they're not doing what they used to do. Why is that? Because he made a living off of Division I bounce backs.
Yep.
Well, why is he not still getting Division I bounce backs? Because they don't have to go JuCo anymore, coach. So the quarterback that goes to Southern Miss and figures out he's not the starter used to transfer to East Mississippi or Hines or Jones or Pearl River. Well, now he leaves Southern Miss and he just goes to Troy.
Yep.
He just goes to a different Division I. And so the days of us in junior college getting Division I bounce backs, coach, is very, very rare. I'm not saying it doesn't still happen. I'll give you an example. Kid from Raymond a couple years ago, Eric Payman.
Yep.
Went to Mississippi State this past year, correct?
Right.
Didn't crack the lineup. And he's a good player. He's a talented player. Coach, 5-10 years ago, some JuCo in Mississippi would have been blessed with him.
You're right.
But now what's he doing? He's just going to Southern Miss.
Yep.
And so the game is changing. Now, what also is happening is we're signing a better caliber high school player than we used to sign. So used to, a lot of kids went Division I, Division II, Division III, and you had to get them on the bounce back. Well, now because of the transfer portal, coach, there's some really, really, really good high school players that have nowhere to go. And so now, instead of getting them on the bounce back, I guess you're just kind of getting them on the front end, if that makes sense.
It does.
And so, no, we don't have the experience drop downs like we used to, but we are getting, in my opinion, to sign better high school talent than we've been able to sign. I recruit kids all the time that I tell his mom and dad that are frustrated with the process. I say, look, 10 years ago, he would have already signed to Jackson State. 10 years ago, he had already signed to Southern Miss. Why is East Central sitting in your living room? Well, the reason East Central sitting in your living room is because Jackson State's not going to take him, and the reason they're not going to take him is because they're waiting on the kid to leave Ole Miss. You know what I mean? And so, coach, it's just a different game, and it's a different time, but it's a very tough league. The league is hindered nationally by the out-of-state rule. So we only get 4 out-of-state spots, and this is what that means. And you can look this up, too, on our schedule. God, I hate we didn't finish them, because if we finished them, coach, it would have been a bigger deal, and I could brag right now. But we go to Florida last year to start our season, okay? We played Chipola and Gulf Coast State, 2 top 10, top 25 teams in the country every year, okay? Coach, Chipola beat us in overtime. Gulf Coast State beat us on a 3 at the buzzer, 5 seconds to go. My point is this. My 5 best and Chipola's 5 best, coach, it's really not a difference. The difference becomes when they sub and when I sub. When they get tired and when I get tired. When they get in foul trouble and when I get in foul trouble. And so it's not the top end talent. My best player may be just as good as a best player from a league in Texas, and he probably is. But it's my 10th guy and their 10th guy, coach, it ain't even close. And so it's the depth piece. Because when you look at it, there's 15 JuCos in the state of Mississippi. Okay, coach, all of us got to have 11, 12 guys from Mississippi. Well, if you do some quick math, let's say it's 160, 150, 170 kids. There's not that many kids that can play college basketball, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, roughly, like you're looking at 165 kids, and I've had that conversation before with another JuCo coach. We talked about it this past summer, and he was just saying like it is tough like that. You gotta try to. Everybody's going for the main guys. Like everybody in Mississippi knows what guy main guys, so everybody chasing them guys. And then, like you say, it's filling out your roster. And to be honest, I didn't know that until he said that, and I didn't know that until you just said it. That's the part of the piece that you have to have. So, coach, how do you go about doing that? Because I've always been interested in recruiting. I hear this statement all the time, sitting in a kid's living room, a parent's living room. Kind of talk a little bit about that because, again, I didn't have the experience to be recruited. Like, talk about how that is really set up. We have to go into a place and really sit down and kind of sell the program. But also, too, just talk about how do you find ways to kind of build that depth because, because I think y'all play 2 nights a week and you playing, at different places, you traveling. Like, how do you kind of make that fit and make that work?
Yeah, so the approach we've kind of taken to East Central, and it's no secret, I don't mind saying this, in the eyes of kids in Mississippi, East Central's not the hot spot. It's not the popular, cool place to be. Men's basketball has not been good here for a while. And so I know the names that come up in kids' minds are Jones, Pearl River, Gulf Coast, maybe Northeast, maybe Itawamba, okay? So I told Jordan, if we spread ourselves too thin, and try to get 11 guys from Mississippi we like, it's not going to be good when we don't end up with none of them.
Yeah.
And so we got to pick 2 or 3 or 4 kids that we love. And that's the only people we spend time with. And if I can get 4 good out-of-staters and I can get 4, maybe 5 good in-staters, then I got the 8 or 9 I need to win. Then I'm going to tell you a little secret I've learned too, Coach. When 10 through 15 know they're not going to play,
Yeah.
then I don't have as much headache dealing with playing time and complaints and why don't I play? And John Calipari just went to this at Arkansas. He's not using all his scholarships. He said he's only using 9. He said, I'm going to have 9 guys who know they're in the rotation, and I'm going to have 6 that clap and cheer like heck and love wearing that Arkansas on the chest. And so that's kind of what we're doing. The former boss I had when I was an assistant here, Robert Thompson, he told me, he said, Dylan, in Mississippi, there's A guys, there's B guys, and there's C guys. He said, everybody's going to go after A guys. He said, if we get an A guy, that's great. He said, but we're going to go crazy after the B guys. He said, because they will appreciate the early recruitment and the effort you put in, and nobody else is showing them love. Personally, Darren Davison was a B guy, okay? There's better players in the state, but, Coach, there's a lot worse too.
Yeah.
And so what happens is, and I don't want to offend nobody, there's not a lot of A guys in Mississippi. So everybody goes after the A guys, only 1 or 2 get them. Then guess what, Coach? When they turn around to go after B, they all gone to East Central. So now you got to move on to C. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of the recruiting approach that we take. And so my point is, it's easy to fall in love with an A.
Yeah.
But I'm going to tell you, if you don't get Darren, Coach, it's a lot worse. It's a lot worse in the state. Yeah. And so I know who I am. I'm not mad about it. I'm not trying to make East Central something it's not. Coach, we're going to sign all the B guys because they're good enough to win games with. I mean, we just won 17 with them. And so if we can get an A, great. You know, we signed a kid from Mendenhall this year that I think a lot of people wanted. I saw Jones there a lot. I saw Gulf Coast there a lot. A lot of people want it. Is he an A or B? I don't know, but he's pretty good. We worked hard on him. But I think the only reason we got him, Coach, is because that's the only place I went for 2 months. Like, I don't think I have the luxury of seeing somebody the same amount of times as Jones and then me get them. Coach, if I'm going to get them, I got to know little sister's name, grandpa's favorite food, grandma's favorite. I got to live there. And I did, Coach. Like, I'll never forget. And I hope he watches this. He probably won't, but we like the assistant coach at Gulf Coast, Keith Wyndham.
Yes.
And I'm sitting on the wall, Coach, at Mendenhall, and Coach Keith comes in. Good dude. I like Keith. Yeah. And he leans up against me, and we both know we're there for the same kid. Coach, I'm about a month and a half in at this point. Keith don't know it ain't no catching up. So he said, Coach, which one's his mom? I said, I don't know. This little girl comes running up to me, Coach. I was in there deep now. Yeah. Comes running up to me, gives me a hug. Hey, Coach, da-da-da. It's his little sister. She goes running off. Who was that, Coach? I don't know. She must have me confused with somebody else. Like, Coach, I just got to do extra. You know what I mean? I got to get in there so deep. I can't share my secrets with you. You know what I'm saying? And so that's just, Coach, we're going to find 3 or 4, and we're going to go after them really, really hard. Because we think that's the best way we got to, best chance we got to get them at East Central. And if we can pair those with some out-of-staters, I mean, I think I'd be lying to you if I ever thought I had 12 real college basketball players on my team. I just don't think that's a reality at East Central. So we've picked a model that we think works and that we like, and that's kind of how we approach it.
Man, Coach, you saying some good things. I'm gonna have to talk to you off podcast air about some of that because a lot of what you said is true, and I got a lot of good stories with that. Because I would say what you're saying is true, and I'll speak to this part of it. Like going into that process, of course, with Darren, we went to a lot of team camps, Coach. We went to a lot of team camps, and just try to do my work early, let them know what we was trying to do, etc. Because we got shot down from the door. We got shot down from the door, and it was very obvious. And it was kind of discouraging. I never told Darren that, and I still won't tell him the specifics, but it was rough, man. It was brutal. And so what you're saying is absolutely true. And I try to get him to see, and other kids to see, not just him, but all kids, certain schools got something that they looking for. And sometimes it's hard for kids to understand that because they're like, oh, coach, but certain schools have what they're looking for. And I can just tell you, just as I've just seen the landscape of it, that's probably not going to be you right there.
Yeah.
And so they have to understand that. So I'm hoping that they hear that and they talk about it. Coach Yo is also doing it. And I guess it's a growing trend in college basketball because, of course, Coach Kyle and Coach Yo said the same thing. She said she cutting her roster down to like maybe 8 or 9.
Yeah.
She don't want to have to deal with that. And so she said it's a certain number that you have. So I guess it's something there. I never really thought, Coach, and this was me, I never thought that college coaches had to deal with kids on the sideline complaining about playing time and pouting and things of that nature. That's something that we did with high school, which drives me up the wall. But it's crazy how that kind of transitions over to college a little bit because we've always been taught when you go to college, if you ain't getting it done, you got to hit that door. And so in my mind, I said, if I get an opportunity to be on somebody's bench, man, I'm going to be the best teammate. Coach ain't going to never see me pouting, but it's crazy to see kids can get that far, have an opportunity that kids wish to have, and then they let their selfish ambitions of pouting or being selfish get in the way. To me, that just blows my mind, man.
Yeah, and it's a big deal in JuCo too, Coach, because we're not the destination, right? They all want to play Division I or Division II or wherever they want to move on to.
Yeah.
And so freshmen are not as bad, Coach. Freshmen are not as bad because they have another year.
Yeah.
Coach, a sophomore that don't play much can be terrible because he knows this is it for me. And so I think the hardest fight for all junior college coaches is how do you put a team together and make them play as a team and try to win games, but really they're also out to get theirs because in their mind, that's the way I move on to the next level. You know what I mean? And so now what they don't realize is, Alabama was winning so many games in football at one point under Nick Saban. You felt like you could just be on the team and get drafted.
Yep.
I tell mine all the time, if we win, everybody gets to eat.
Yep.
But Coach, it's hard for them to believe that. If I'm being honest with you, it's hard for them to believe that. They think they gotta handle their business to get what they want, and so it's a tough fight. Coach, I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna interject something real quick, just because a lot of kids don't know this.
Go ahead.
And I don't, maybe some coaches that don't know this, I don't know. But like, let's take Darren, for example, and maybe being frustrated with people not talking to him and stuff. We don't get, like, let's say there's 15 guys on my team. We don't have 15 scholarships, Coach. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't know that. We have a pot of money that equals 6 in-state scholarships and 3 out-of-state scholarships. So that's 9 spots. But I got 15 guys on my team, and all of them are getting scholarship money for the most part. How do I do that? Well, most kids in Mississippi, generally speaking, qualify for Pell Grant, financial aid, FAFSA.
Right.
Okay, Coach, well, if a kid gets Pell Grant, financial aid, FAFSA, that good stuff, he doesn't cost me as much money out of my pot. But when I see a kid with mom at home, dad at home, both have a good job, both work, it kind of starts working in Coach's mind. Ooh, I wonder if he gets Pell Grant. He may not get Pell Grant. Well, now he's going to cost me more money. So anytime as an assistant, Robert Thompson, I remember I bring a kid to Coach Thompson.
Right.
Coach, I like this kid. He's good. He's this. Does he get Pell or not? Coach, if you get Pell or if you don't get Pell, that puts you in a different stack of evaluations. So what I'm saying is, Connor Rogers, the best player on my team the last 2 years, averaged 20 a game. Mm-hmm. Coach, his dad's the chief of police at Mississippi State. Connor did not get Pell Grant money, but I didn't care. He was worth the $5,000 a semester to me. Does that make sense?
It does.
And then sometimes this is where it gets confusion. Let's say you got Darren and you've played crosstown rival, whoever. Right. And y'all played 2 or 3 times throughout the year. And you're like, I know my kid's better, but this kid keeps getting offers. Yeah, Coach, but Darren may cost me $4,000. That kid may not cost me but $1,200. Yeah. So I can add him as a piece to my roster. And now I get him and maybe another kid that only cost me $28,000. So I get 2 for the price of 1. You see what I'm saying? And so it's just something that I hate that they don't know, but they don't know. It's like, man, I got coaches from Arkansas. I'm friends with some high school coaches in Arkansas. They get so mad at me. Dylan, why won't you offer this kid? Why won't you take him? He's good enough to play on your team. I say, yeah, and if he lived in Summit, I would have already offered him. Yeah. But he don't. He lives in Bentonville, Arkansas. Like, the in-state, out-of-state thing's a big deal. Yeah, he is good enough. I agree. Mm-hmm. But he's not good enough as an out-of-stater. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. And so it's just a lot of stuff that goes into it that coaches don't understand. It's more than just, do I think your kid can play or not, is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. No, I'm glad you said it because you really educated me. I never thought about the math part of it. And that's why I love the podcast, man, because I don't know if anybody else learned, Coach. I learn every time. Like I always take notes because you can learn from everybody, especially quality people that I bring on. Because I never thought about the math part of it. I never thought about that. And I like the way that you broke that down. That helps a lot of people out. That's see, that's one thing I do like about our JuCo coaches too. Like I knew it was just you and Jordan. I just said that just to draw people attention. Like I don't think people realize the work that goes into what y'all do because it's everything literally from A to Z. And you heard some of it just from Coach Shields right then. So it's just much respect to you. But Coach, I really like the way you think. And that was a part of my question. Like I saw you with recruiting, and I'm not just saying this because one of my guys or one of your guys now, but I just watch. I'm an observer. People who know me, I observe and I watch different things. And during this process, I learned a lot. And so, Coach, even before you and I had a conversation, I was just watching. And the thing that I did appreciate about you is that you really sat down and you really evaluated, because when I feel like when high schools are coming to your shootouts or team camps or whatever, I think it's so important. Majority of those teams are coming there to let you see what their kids look like. To me, it was I appreciated, I say that even if it doesn't work out, I appreciated that he sat down and watched my kid play. And before we played, I told my guys, I said, if this coach, because he could be anywhere, he could be counting money, he could be with his family, but if a coach sits down and he's front row and he's attentive, you got to give him the respect to play as hard as you can, because he's showing you. I said, he may not sit there for 5, 6, he may be there 2 minutes. And you have to take advantage of that. And that's one thing I appreciate. When individuals or teams come to your gym, you make them feel like superstars. You really do. Like, you let them know that I'm important to you. Like, this means a lot. And you really do it in a way which is outstanding, because when you did offer her Darren, my kids were ecstatic, but it was the way that you did it, because you allowed him to be able to get some spotlight and be able to see that. But the thing that was big, and I know you know it, but I'm watching, I see what Coach Shields is doing. They were so excited about that process. They were like, man, East Central might be a pretty good spot, because they saw the excitement, they saw your sincere heart and your compassion. And we know that you're recruiting key as a part of your job. So they're wise enough to see that. But they was like, man, this felt good. Because we have been other places. And so I really like the way you do that. I know that's a part of what you do. Maybe other coaches ought to use that. And I'm not sure, maybe they do, but I've been to a couple spots and I haven't seen it done that way. And I thought that was pretty powerful. I watched you this year. Like, we came again this year to really support you, to kind of see Darren, but we enjoyed the experience. And I watched, and you did the same thing consistently. And I saw a lot of guys get excited about being around East Central basketball. So, man, that's kudos to you too, brother.
I appreciate it.
Coach, we begin to transition out, man. I thought about this, and I said I'm gonna ask Coach. I know Jordan said baseline out of bounds and press offense is super, super good. Some of you do well. I'm not. Again, it's competitive in your league, so I'm not gonna ask you to show us too many things, Coach. But I'm a fan of baseline out of bounds offense, and I'm guessing you may be the same way as me. I always take sports and I make them translate to each sport. To me, a baseline out of bounds is like a field goal, an extra point, or a field goal in football. If you give us an opportunity to run a set play, and usually we know what defense you're gonna run, I feel like we gotta score, we gotta get to the free throw line. And that's the kind of passion that I try to put into our guys. Like, every time we get a baseline out of bounds play, we gotta score, we gotta get a free throw. And so baseline out of bounds is important to me. So, Coach, if you can, like, maybe give us one baseline out of bounds play, it could be zone or man, and maybe talk about the press offense. You don't have to break it down in details. You could just maybe give us some principles that you try to teach, because, of course, everybody kind of press. So just kind of help our supporters out, and if not them, so help me out.
Yeah, I got you. Well, this is where I'm going to start, and I'm going to flip everything you just said kind of on its head, okay?
Uh-oh.
And you got to invite me to Richland so I can teach you this in the gym. Coach, I am not no basketball guru or savant, but I promise it's one thing I can show you that I think will help. I don't know why it wouldn't help anybody.
Okay.
But I'm going to back up to the history, and then I'm going to tell you how silly what we're talking about is. I love baseline out of bounds offense too. I'm with you. If I get the ball and it's a set play and we get to know where we're going and they don't know where we're going and we can manipulate the defense, like I want to score. And I don't mean throw it in and score that possession. I mean, I want to score off my pass. You know what I mean? Maybe 1 or 2 but I want to score off my baseline out of bounds. And so I take pride in it because I think you can steal some points that way. Now, I worked for a guy that made me feel like a idiot. You ready?
Okay.
Coach, what if I told you, now take your mind to the defensive side of baseline out of bounds.
Okay.
What if I told you, Coach, it makes no sense ever that the offense scores on baseline out of bounds?
Makes no sense today.
Coach, it's 5-on-4.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Coach, it's not fair. The game for that little segment of the game is not fair.
That's true.
Coach, it's 5-on-4. And I worked with a guy, and that's the first time somebody ever told me that. And I said, wow, I kind of feel like an idiot. I said, why do we ever score? And he said, you shouldn't, Dylan. He said, it's goofy that you do score, and the other team should be embarrassed when you do score. He said, but nobody will ever score on us. And I thought, okay, that's kind of a big statement, Coach. That's a big statement. Nobody will ever score on us baseline out of bounds. He said, Dylan, nobody will ever score on us baseline out of bounds. We're going to run a certain defense. We have the advantage. It's 5-on-4. Nobody will ever score. Coach, I worked for him as an assistant for 4 years. Maybe once or twice a guy fell asleep and they scored. Maybe. I told Jordan that we need to go back and do this the other day. Coach, nobody's ever going to score on East Central baseline out of bounds. I promise you.
Yeah.
Coach, if you go back and look at the last 3 years, I'd be willing to bet you, I'm not going to say they never have, but Coach, if they do, I can show you it hadn't happened more than 5 times in 3 years. And if they do, I can show you exactly which kid fell asleep. And it's that straight effort, Coach. They didn't score because they out X and O'd me. They didn't score because they tricked me. You can't trick me, Coach. I got 5. You got 4. Ain't no way you can win. Okay. But what probably has happened is we were up 15 with 2 minutes to go, and one of my kids didn't give no effort.
Yeah.
He didn't bust his butt like he's supposed to. He fell asleep. He was talking to me. I was getting on to him about not boxing out. That's why we ain't got the ball. And while me and him was fighting, they scored. But, Coach, if my 5 are lined up, you will never score on us baseline out of bounds. Mm-hmm. So you got to carve out some time for me. I can't do it over the screen. But, Coach, I can show you. I'm telling you, nobody will ever score against you again baseline out of bounds. I promise you.
Yeah. All right. Go ahead. Well, I want to piggyback on that before you start.
What are you going to say? Go ahead. Yeah, you talk while I'm doing this.
No, I'm glad you said that. That's a philosophy that I have. And, Coach, that's me because we study so many possessions and so many things. We try to stop people from scoring. And I know at our level, my kids kind of struggle, but I'm that same believer. Like, nobody should ever score on us. And we try to manipulate a defense where we put everybody where we know everybody's going to run. And in high school, everybody runs the same basic sets. But yeah. I agree with you on that. But go ahead.
Coach, should never. It's 5-on-4.
I agree.
But guess what? I'm finna give you something that you're going to score on every time.
Hey, that's what's up. I need it, man. As long as my man Tony Tadlock from Raymond don't see it, man, I'm going to be good.
Yeah. Coach Tadlock might steal it from us. All right, let's just say the ball's out right here. Can you see that on the baseline?
Yep, I can see it.
Okay. We're going to put a big guy on the block. We're going to put our other big guy right here. You can kind of put him a step below the free throw line. You can put him on the free throw line. By the way, this is from my high school basketball coach. Put our biggest wing on this side, Coach.
Yeah.
Put our smallest wing right here. And this is just my philosophy. My point guard always takes the ball out of bounds. Right. Now, here's where that can become a struggle. My best scorer last year was my point guard.
Yeah.
So sometimes I would want him in to run the play, but he never ran the play. He always was right here because, Coach, I got to get the ball inbounds first before I can score. And so I'm always going to give it to the guy who I think's the best passer or who I trust the most.
Makes sense.
Coach, super simple. You ready? Super simple.
Go ahead.
We're going to go set an up screen, and all 3 of these movements take place at the same time.
Okay.
So we're going to go set an up screen from the block up high. He's popping ball side corner. He's going over the top, and he's my relief up here if we don't get anything.
Okay.
Follow me?
Yep.
Coach, super simple. If it don't work, it's not because of your play. It's because your kids didn't do it right. And I tell mine all the time. They laugh at me. But I say, hey, Coach Shields stuff works. So if it didn't work, it ain't my fault. It's yours. Let's look at it. Coach, he's just coming over the top. and he's rolling back to the bucket. I promise you, if they're playing man-to-man, if they're in zone, we do something different. If they're playing man-to-man, one of these two guys has to be open. There's no option for them not to be open. So this is what we teach our guys. If you don't mind, I'm going to take these two out of the play, okay?
Cool.
All we're going to focus on is this big man and this big man. Coach, where is he standing? Okay? Let's say he's standing right here. It is his job. This is the importance of the play. To when he sets his screen, to be underneath him. Not on the side, but underneath. So, Coach, he is to come screen like this.
Okay.
Okay?
Right.
Now, this is what determines where the ball is going to go. Are they going to switch or are they not? Well, it's obvious if they don't switch, this guy should rub this screen tight. And if our screener's man went with him right here, then he should be open for a layup.
Right.
Sounds too easy, okay? Most people are going to switch.
They are.
So, that's why, Coach, he's got to get underneath. He's got to get underneath. Because when they switch and he comes off and X takes him right here, who's close? This is what I tell my guys. You got to, I'm serious, Coach, you got to talk to them like they're in the 5th grade. Who's closer to the basket right now? The defender or my guy?
Yep, our guy.
So my guy's closer to the bucket. So how do we not score? So, Coach, we do a drill, not really a drill. I just make them rep this play over and over where we hit and you're hitting selfishly. Yep. You're hitting for yourself. When you hit, my goal is to keep him high so that when I turn and roll back to the bucket, I'm by myself. Does that make sense?
Wide open layup, yep.
And so what we have, Coach, is O on this side with X behind him sealed. He's posting up, and we just the roll guy, the seal guy is who's open every time, Coach, if they switch.
Yep.
And by cutting over here, we've cleared this side out, so there's nobody over there. Make sense? Now, this will drive me nuts, and I got a drill if you got a problem with this. When your kid is taking the ball out here, and their guy's sunk right here in the hole, and he's like doing like this, and Coach, I couldn't get it to him. No, you need to be a better passer. You need to figure out how to get it to him.
So you talking about sunk in the hole? You talking about so that guy's not on the ball, he just protecting the rim.
Correct. He's back trying to protect the rim. That's the one thing that will jam you up.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
So how do you combat that though?
Well, Coach, we scout and watch all the games, like the last 3 to 5 games of teams we play. And before I go into the game, I know, do they guard the ball? Do they shade the bucket? Do they sink in the hole? And so that's going to determine what I call. You ready?
I got you. Okay, it makes sense.
So that's 1. This is 2. Now, as you probably can already tell, it is my philosophy. Your baseline out of bounds, Coach, needs to look the same every time you set up.
Yep.
Because it's harder to scout that way. So, this is 2. This is if the guy sunk in the hole. This guy clears out high instead of in the corner. And you'll see why it's important. All right. Do you remember, Coach, on the last play, this guy went up to set this screen, and this guy went the same direction, but he went out over the top?
Over the top, yep.
Okay, this is what I mean by all your plays looking the same. I'm going to run one, Coach, the first 2 or 3 times. Even if we don't score, I'm going to run it because I'm getting their defense in a mindset. This guy gets in the mindset, my guy cuts over, my guy cuts over, my guy cuts over. The guy guarding my top man at the free throw line, he gets in the mindset, the screen's coming from this way, right?
Right.
So when I call 2, we flip it.
Yep.
So he goes and sets a screen, and he cuts off here.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Follow me? Now, what about this guy? It's just screen to screener, Coach. You already know it. He turns it in, he comes off, and we hit him for a jumper right there.
Yep. That's beautiful, though. I like it.
So I want the same patterns because, Coach, kids are kids, even at the college level. They get used to looking at the same thing. Coach, the first time we hit this guy in his back, it's a layup every time because he ain't thinking about it. He ain't looking for it. And this guy don't help and switch good because he's used to just running out. Coach, kids get lazy. They get in a pattern. And then this guy still comes up. So basically, these 2 guys converging to the middle happens every time. It's just we do something different off of it. That makes sense?
Yep, it does. Hey, coach, I like that, man. You making my podcast look professional, right, to another level, man. It's the first time we've done board the market work, but coach, I love that though. I'm actually use that, and I try to assimilate that, and I try to have my plays looking the same. And you know this, coach, on a high school level, I'm trying to be a little bit more advanced than my guys because in high school, man, coaches yell to play out. They don't even scout it. So I'm really trying to take advantage of that and do it like that. Because in high school, man, you could score like very easy. So I'm definitely going to put that in, coach. Might have to call it East Central or something like that.
There you go. Call it Warriors. You already got something called Warriors?
No, we don't.
All right, coach. Press offense. Super simple, super basic. I'm telling you, this is not flashy. My only goal is to get the ball across half court. Right. Now, we talk about how to score, but my goal is to beat the 10-second clock and get over here, and then we're going to trust our offense. So that's why it may not look as forward pressing or aggressive as some you used to. All I want to do is defeat the purpose of the press by getting the ball across half court. So if the ball is taken out down here, we're going to break. Boom. Boom. Last guy comes down the middle. If it's in the flow of the game, after a mate, coach, no, we do not go set up. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Our guys are taught just to feel those three spots. Somebody feel here, somebody feel here, somebody feel here. He throws it in to whoever he can throw it to, and his job is, when the ball goes in, it's his job to get to the middle as soon as possible. So let's say he throws it here. He's going to run right here to the middle. So the look we have is guy, ball, guy here, and guy here. Make sense?
Yep.
And coach, we swing it and reverse it all the way down the floor. And every time you pass, you're supposed to take a couple steps up, couple steps up, couple steps up. And we swing it back and forth in a safe way till we get the ball across half. Now, this guy's not here for no reason. If you see the middle open from the side, you zip it middle. He sprints opposite. We turn and throw it because the opposite guy's always open.
Opposite always open, yep.
But most presses, coach, are going to have some form of this look, and they always shade to the ball.
Right.
So the reversal, coach, is always an easy option.
Mm-hmm.
And we basically, and I'm not kidding, I mean, we try to do it with some zip. We're not being lazy, but we what I call walk the ball up the floor.
That's pretty simple. I like that, man. That's very simple, man. I like that.
Yeah, it's easy for kids to do. And if your kids don't ever know if they're in man or man or not, what we tell our kids is, you got the ball, clear out. Everybody takes off running. If everybody goes with them, it's one-on-one, and I got to have a guard good enough to get the ball up the floor against a man press. If they take off running and nobody goes anywhere, they turn around and come right back. We know they're in zone, and we do our press offense.
I like that.
It's super elementary, coach. Super elementary, but it works, though.
It looked like it worked. I like that you putting them in spaces where the defense is not going to be, and you just attacking the open areas. Reversal, because again, they don't mind you reversing that ball, and then opposite. So, coach, I like it, man.
Hey, one thing I forgot. You do have the big guy. We put him on this end down here.
Right.
And this is what we tell him. It's his job to stay opposite the ball. Mm-hmm. So when the ball's here, he's on this elbow. Ball reverses back. He goes to this elbow. He's supposed to be watching and paying attention. When we get to about right here in the middle, coach, and finally somebody finds that middleman and hits the middleman, and these two guys take off running, he hits a side, the big guy's got to get opposite. So it's 2-on-1 coming in. Does that make sense?
It does, yep.
We don't want the big guy on the same side that the ball's coming down the floor, is what I'm saying.
Yes, to keep the guard had to cross over the floor. He already opposite already, so we keep
correct.
2-on-1.
So we can attack and try to throw a lob or hit a drop-off pass or whatever, 2-on-1.
Coach, I like it, man. So I know 2-on-1 drill is definitely important. Okay, I like that.
Yeah, like we do 3-on-2 back 2-on-1 a lot. Yep.
Coach, I definitely appreciate that, man. That's some good stuff right there, man. I thank you for being transparent and opening up for us, man. I like
Coach,
that.
You got to get that baseline out of bounds defense. Nobody will ever score on you, and nobody will know why.
Yes.
But that's a secret, though, Coach. I ain't gonna lie to you. I can't share that on the podcast.
I know it. Trust me, we gonna talk definitely when this over with. Coach, two things, and I'm gonna get you out, man. I know you busy. I know you got a lot going on. Just being a college coach in general, coach. This is our most popular question that we have on the podcast. We always ask each component with each coach, especially if they coach basketball. Obviously, it changed. It was a different coach. Top 5 NBA players of all time, and it's always an interesting topic of conversation. And it could be traditional 1 through 5. It can be your favorite 5 or who you think the best 5. But coach, who would be your top 5 NBA players of all time?
Ooh, that's a tough one because I'm not an NBA savant.
Yep.
Now I like to argue with my assistant who's young and thinks LeBron's the best player ever, which I have a problem with. I obviously would say Michael because that's when I kind of grew up and came up. So I would say MJ is definitely number 1. And coach, this is my argument. And then I'm not gonna keep you forever.
Go ahead, man. We got time. We got time. Go ahead.
Coach, when you're 5 years old and you go out in the yard and you see a basketball and your granddad done put up a goal with filled in the water, did concrete or whatever. Coach, what's the object of the game?
Get the ball in the hoop.
Okay, coach. So then what are we talking about? Assists are great. Rebounds are great. All this stuff. But coach, there's one object of the game.
Yeah.
It would be like if I was a baseball player and like my specialty was bunting. Hey, that's good, but that ain't the ultimate thing. Like, can you hit? Can you throw? I just think scoring.
Yeah.
like this. Me and Jordan argue, coach. The categories aren't the same.
Yeah.
They're not. Scoring is more valuable than rebounding. I don't care what nobody tells me. The object of the game is to score. Them other categories are important, but let's don't wait like they're equal, coach. They're not equal.
Yeah.
I tell you what, it's 5 players that I can send you next year. I'm going to get them to transfer to Richland High School. One of them will be the best scorer in your league. One of them will be the best rebounder. One of them will be the best. Which one are you taking, coach? You taking the score.
Yeah, somebody gonna put some points on the board.
Right. That's the hardest thing to do.
Yeah.
So I don't know why I said a debate with MJ and LeBron, but I would say MJ.
Okay.
Then I would say LeBron. I give him credit. I think he's very versatile, can do a lot of different things. I'm gonna tell you somebody else in my top 5 that I don't know if he gets. Coach, when Shaq was in his prime, was he not maybe the most dominant player you've ever seen?
Coach, I think if he would have done some things, you have to almost argue to be the best player of all time, almost.
I know. I agree. I agree. You got Kobe's probably got to be in there. See, I'm not old enough to give you the expertise on Bird and Magic and them guys. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of somebody. If I don't know. Who'd I say? I said LeBron, MJ. I said Kobe and Shaq. Number 5. Hey, you know what? We talked about Shaq being the most dominant. I'm gonna go the opposite direction on size. Coach, imagine if AI was 6'6".
Oh man,
I'm gonna go AI.
Hey man, that's a good lineup, man. And it's funny how some of my kids, the only AI they know is what they see on this computer, man. But yeah, MJ, LeBron, Shaq, Kobe, I don't think you can go wrong with it. And to be honest, man, that's a solid lineup because all those guys do something different, but they were very dominant. And you said it best. If things were different in a lot of their careers, maybe they'll be on a different level. Maybe not MJ as much. You can always
No. Let's do MJ because I'm gonna tell you what makes me mad. I almost said something ugly, but I stopped myself. I'm gonna say something makes me mad.
Yeah.
When people comparing these championships and Michael won 3 in a row and 3 in a row, coach, the man could have won 8 in a row if he chose to.
That's what I was just about
coach,
to say.
He took 2 years off to play baseball in his prime.
Yeah.
Come on, coach.
That's what I'm about to ask you. Like, that's another part of our segment, like the what if. Like, and I'm glad you said it. Like, what if Michael Jordan, like he wins 8 because this is the argument that Kenny Smith made, and I hear this all the time because they asked him, they was like, man, the Rockets would have beat the Bulls easily, and his argument was they beat them in the regular season. It was going to be easy. They didn't have a big to be able to stop them. I guess Elijah Wan, things of that nature. So, like, what does that look like to you? And again, I know basketball pretty well. I can't remember who the Rockets had in particular, but even when I look back at it, I don't think the Rockets, in my opinion, could have beat them because the Rockets were always lower seeds. Like they were like 6 seed, 7 seed. So to them to beat Jordan, I don't see it. But what happens if that happens? Like what's that possibility looks like?
No, I think now obviously you got to factor in, would he have gotten hurt? Maybe injury would have come up or something like that. But Nah, nothing would have stopped him, Coach. He'd have won 8 in a row. We wouldn't be having this discussion.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, man, I'm an MJ guy too, though. Again, my assistant coach, man, he loves MJ, and anything that goes on about bashing LeBron and giving him facts, so I go back at him because I tell him I like Jordan is my number one, but I know enough about LeBron to send him some stuff, and he be searching all day sending me stuff. Like he just sent me
That's
something a few
funny.
minutes ago. Coach, man, this was a great podcast, man. I'm excited about it, man. I learned a lot from you, and I hope a lot of people do, man. I really hope people watching the podcast, not for me in particular, but just the knowledge that's being dropped. Coach, this is the last segment of the podcast. I call it the last shot, and with the last, for those followers who are not familiar with that, with the last shot segment, we give our guests the opportunity to better close the show. And it's usually they may give a statement, they may give some people some shout outs, they may leave us with something else. It's kind of, you can close it any way that you want. There's no right or wrong answer to it. But before you do that, Coach, I forgot this segment up, and I don't know how I forgot it. So before you take the last shot, Coach, just talk to us and give you a shout out a little bit about your family, because I know our families are big, and a lot of people come on this podcast and gonna see Coach Shields, and they like, man. So it's always good to hear your voice and hear your name called. So, Coach, shout out your family first. I'd be remiss if I didn't allow you to do that, and then, Coach, close the show with the last shot.
Yeah, my wife Taylor and I, we have 3 little ones. We got a 6-year-old little girl, Finley. We got a 5-year-old little boy, Wesson. And then we got Walker, who just turned 1 not too long ago. So we got 3 little ones. They're all different. They're all different. Finley wants to do gym and dance and all the girly things you can think of. My middle son, Coach, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't know if he's going to be a ball player or not. But anything he can ride, he'll ride. We got him this little electric bike, Coach. You ain't got a pedal. It don't have no training wheels on it. You just like a dirt bike, but it's battery powered. Coach, he will ride that thing until the battery juice is on dry. He loves it. It's his favorite thing to do. And we getting to do a lot of that right now in the summer, which is good to spend time with him. And then Walker is yet to be determined. I will say, when he wakes up out of his crib every morning, Coach, ball, ball, ball. So, maybe he'll want to play some ball. I don't know, but yeah, they're all different. My wife's the best. She takes care of my kids. She knew. I don't think she says she knew. I don't think she fully understood getting into it, what it was going to look like. There's no way to fully understand. But she's a great, great help to me. And so allows me to do what I do, allows me to serve my team and my kids, and my family's awesome. And so I'm very appreciative for them and allowing me to do what I love to do. You know what I mean? So.
True, man. Coach, thank you for sharing that. We appreciate that, Coach, and go ahead and take the last shot.
Man, I just want to tell everybody to tune in, check out, and come watch us play when you get a chance. East Central men's basketball is not what it was 3 or 4 years ago. Me and Coach Jordan have definitely turned it around, and trying to continue to take it to new heights. We're excited about our group this year. We're going to be very young. We got a very new team. But that's not bad either. They gonna be like sponges, soaking up everything we've got for them. And so we're really excited about this year, and just look forward to everything that's coming up in the future for us.
That's so important that you do that, Coach. And I'm glad you said that. I always close the show. I always tell individuals, again, if you don't support In the Sand podcast, support our guests, support Coach Shields, East Central Community College basketball. And what I mean, support them, like come to the games, obviously, but they may need some other things. Financial support is always important. The kids still got to eat, got to travel, things of that nature. Pray for the guys. So do what you can, though. Like, he don't need to come out there and try to coach. I think he got all the help he need. Probably can need some other help, but he may not need that part of it. Go out and support other ways, because there's so many other ways to support coaches and support their families. I think that's very, very important. So, man, do that for us. Before I close, again, I'll leave us with our verse for the day. Philippians 4:13. It says, I can do all things through Christ who gives me strength. So again, when you're struggling, there's a source. It may not happen automatically. I think sometimes we hear that verse, things don't happen over time, but you got somebody, the Lord's going to help you through a lot of situations. It's got to work out in this time. And so until next episode, as I always say, be nice, be kind, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Coach.